Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. A 50,000 word piece about this script. Ridge proposes to Brooke after Nick. Ring on Taylor's finger means nothing? The bold and the beautiful spoilers say that Ridge Forrester might ask Brooke Logan to marry him after Nick Marone does the same. That ring on Taylor Hayes' finger might not signify anything in the end. So let's talk about all the romantic things that are coming up. Now that Nick's in Italy along with Brooke, he's planning an epic marriage proposal on a special boat ride. Of course, B&B spoilers predict Nick's intentions are going to go very wrong. Brooke probably won't accept Nick's marriage proposal, but the boat trip will be a disaster in general. It looks like Brooke will be flung into the ocean due to a boat malfunction, so she'll be at risk of drowning until Ridge comes along and rescues her out. After that, Ridge's heart will guide him what to do next. Ridge will give in to the love he's been fighting for so long, and his genuine feelings for Brooke will come out. Ridge will realize he wants Brooke back, and he'll do everything he can to make her know. Once Ridge carries a soaking Brooke to safety and makes sure she's okay, he'll presumably make a big pronouncement about their destiny. It makes reasonable that Ridge could want to outdo Nick by asking Brooke to marry him himself. Ridge may tell Brooke that she is the woman he wants to marry, either on a whim or when they reconnect before they go home. In other words, Ridge might get engaged to Brooke while he's already engaged to Taylor. We certainly wouldn't put it past Ridge, considering his track record, especially since we know Brooke's tragedy will act as such a significant romantic turning point for these two. Brooke might become Ridge's new fiancée before Taylor even realizes she's lost Ridge. So stay tuned for updates on any fresh engagement news that might be on the horizon. The bold and the beautiful spoilers claim Ridge and Brooke's reunion will inflict a painful blow to Taylor in the coming episodes. Bill finally stops being a bonehead, hires cancer experts as Grace's deadly deception unravels. Bill Spencer finally grows a brain. $1 million medical scam about to explode. The moment we've all been waiting for. Hold onto your remotes, soap enthusiasts, because the impossible has happened. Bill Spencer. Yep, the same billionaire bonehead who sent over $1 million to a cardiac doctor saying she could perform brain surgery, is finally getting suspicious. After weeks of Dr. Finn Finnegan and Dr. Bridget Forrester almost shouting that something was fishy, Dollar Bill's 2 surviving brain cells have sparked to life, and he's calling in professional cancer experts to investigate Dr. Grace Buckingham's miracle cure. I mean, seriously? It only took him how long to figure out that a cardiologist practicing experimental brain surgery at a shady off-the-books facility would be a red flag? This is the man who leads a media empire. Folks, the $1 million wake-up call. Let me break things out for anyone just tuning in to the circus. When Liam Spencer was shot by Luna Nozawa while bravely rescuing Steffi Forrester, his inoperable brain tumor diagnosis became public knowledge. Enter Grace Buckingham, a heart doctor, mind you, who conveniently came with a controversial experimental cure that just happened to cost exactly $1 million in cash. And what did our great businessman do? He wired the money faster than you can say. Obvious medical fraud. Now, weeks later, after the purportedly successful surgery that magically removed the entire tumor, Bill is finally starting to smell something terrible. The man who once tossed Ridge out of a helicopter for crossing him couldn't recognize this fraud if it came with a neon sign stating, "I'm robbing you blind." Grace's house of cards is crumbling. Here's when things get really juicy. Our sources claim Bill's bringing in top cancer specialists to re-examine Liam's case. And when they find what we've all known for weeks, that this whole thing stinks worse than week-old fish, Grace best have her passport ready and a one-way ticket to anywhere but Los Angeles. Because let's be serious here. Grace Buckingham just committed the cardinal sin of soap opera villainy. She didn't simply scam anyone. She defrauded Dollar Bill, Spencer's son. Has this woman never watched the show? Does she not know what happens to people who tamper with Bill's family? This is the same man who trapped Hope Logan in a gondola to ensure Liam married Steffi, pushed Ridge Forrester out of a helicopter, created the Logan Chronicles blog only to publicly embarrass a complete family, has destroyed jobs and lives with a single phone call. And Grace thought she could pull a quick one on him? The illusion. What happens when Dollar Bill finally connects the dots? Here's my guess. And trust me, I've been watching this program long enough to know how Bill operates. When those cancer experts confirm what Finn and Bridget have been saying, that this operation was faker than a $3 note, we're going to witness the real dollar note awaken from whatever slumber he's been in lately. Grace won't only lose her medical license. Oh no, that's child's play for Bill Spencer. He'll utilize Spencer Publications to damage her reputation globally. He'll sue her into the ground until she doesn't have 2 cents to rub together. And that's just the legal stuff. Remember, this is personal. This is about his son. The same son he's moved heaven and earth to protect since the day he found out Liam existed. Grace didn't just steal his money. She messed with Liam's life, convinced him he was dying, put him through phony surgery, and gaslit an entire family. The Buckingham family name is already dirt in Los Angeles because to Grace's ex-husband Reese and his baby-swapping plot. But Grace? She's about to discover what it really means to be on Bill Spencer's wrong side. The ticking clock is getting louder. The million-dollar question is whether Grace will try to leave or stick around to face the music. If she has even one functional brain cell, which is already one more than Bill's been utilizing lately, she'll be on the first airplane out of LAX before those test results come back. But here's the problem about soap villains. They always think they're smarter than they are. Grace presumably believes she buried her tracks. She might even try to blame someone else. Too unfortunate for her that when Bill Spencer finally wakes up from a con, he goes scorched earth. And after looking like the world's richest fool for weeks, he's going to want to make an example of her. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to witness something spectacular. The entire power of Dollar Bill's wrath unleashed on someone who believed she could play him for a sucker. Grace Buckingham is about to learn what everyone else in Los Angeles already knows. You can mess with a lot of people in this town, but you do not mess with a Spencer. Will Grace escape before Bill's retribution machine swings into high gear? Can she flee fast enough in her fancy heels? Or will we get to see the complete and utter demise of another dumb individual who dared to cross Dollar Bill? One thing's for certain. Now that Bill's finally engaged what's left of his brain, this medical fraud plot is set to get explosive. And honestly, after seeing him be a complete bonehead for weeks, I'm here for every vindictive minute of it. Ridge proposes to Brooke after Nick. Ring on Taylor's finger means nothing. It began under a beautiful Italian sun, on a sea that shimmered with hope and sadness. Nick Marone had spent weeks arranging the right opportunity to recover what he thought was his destiny. Brooke Logan. He had the yacht, the Italian coastline, the ring, and the pitch rehearsed down to every last beautiful sigh. But Nick had forgotten one important part of soap opera fate. Brooke Logan's heart doesn't beat for anyone but Ridge Forrester, no matter how hard she tries to rewrite her story. As the yacht floated over the Mediterranean, tension hummed beneath the luxury. Brooke looked gorgeous in white linen and pearls, her hair tumbling like summer waves. But her eyes, though courteous, were distant. They weren't with Nick. And as the yacht engine coughed and spat, and Brooke went falling into the turbulent sea below, fate intervened. Not with flowers, not with a kiss, but with a splash and a cry for air. Enter Ridge Forrester. Already disturbed by his own conflicted sentiments and certain that Nick was plotting something, he'd been watching the boat through binoculars from the cliffs above, split between pride and panic. But when he saw her fall, all hesitation fled. Ridge dove, literally into action, swimming into the water, and pulled Brooke into his arms like a man who realized he couldn't let go again. Not now, not ever. The moment her lips parted and she coughed up seawater into his shirt, Ridge knew it was over. He couldn't pretend he wanted Taylor. He couldn't keep up the idea that Brooke was just part of his past. She was his heart's present and future. As he covered her in towels and sat beside her on the beach, his words tumbled out in a stream. I tried, Logan. I attempted to move on. I believed I could love Taylor again. But it's always been you. Only you. Brooke, still shivering but caught off guard by the fierce devotion in his voice, could barely breathe. But Ridge, you're engaged. And he was. Taylor Hayes, gorgeous, patient, devoted, had been wearing his ring for weeks now, assuming Ridge had finally chosen her over the ever-complicated Brooke. But that ring meant nothing today. Not when Ridge took out a velvet box of his own, bearing a ring Brooke had left behind years ago. I've carried this with me ever since, waiting for the moment when I'd finally quit being a coward. His voice broke. Logan, will you marry me? In true Brooke fashion, she hesitated. Not out of doubt, but out of dread. I'm tired, Ridge. Tired of being second choice. Tired of competing. Tired of not knowing if I'm enough. Ridge looked her dead in the eye. You've never been second. I've just been too terrified to acknowledge that you're the only one I can't live without. And somewhere in that moment, between a sea breeze and a fresh heartbreak, they kissed. Not with fire and lust, but with love and relief. Brooke didn't say yes, not straight away, but her eyes told everything. And that was all Ridge needed. Back in Los Angeles, Taylor stood in the Forrester living room, sipping tea and adjusting to life as Ridge's fiancée. She'd ignored the indications, convinced herself that this time was different, that Ridge truly had closed the chapter on Brooke. But when her phone called and Steffi's voice came through, tense, hesitant, apologetic, her world began to tremble. Mom, I think something happened in Italy. With Dad. And Brooke. Taylor's grip on her teacup loosened as if her fingers instinctively knew what her heart refused to accept. The engagement she grasped onto, like a lifeline, was dissolving before her eyes. And as she stood in front of the mirror marveling at the ring Ridge handed her, it shone like a lie. Meanwhile, across town, another ticking time bomb exploded. Bill Spencer, still enraged over Liam's injuries and the tangled aftermath involving Dr. Grace Buckingham, had been quietly gathering evidence. After weeks of being ridiculed for sending $1 million to a cardiac specialist for brain surgery, Dollar Bill was finally waking up. It started when Bridget Forrester sent him an anonymous tip. The MRI scans didn't match. Finn, following a hunch, reviewed Liam's chart and found something damning. A scratch under the surgical bandage that didn't correspond to any documented wound. That, along with Liam's improved health and cloudy memory, started building a disturbing picture. Grace hadn't saved Liam. She deceived them all. Now Bill Spencer was on fire. He hired the greatest cancer specialists in the country, ordered Liam to undergo comprehensive neurological reevaluation, and canceled the remainder of Grace's payment. When the tests came back indicating no tumor had ever existed, Bill didn't blink. He activated the legal department at Spencer Publications, authorized a smear campaign, and flew to Grace's clinic in a private plane to confront her in person. Grace, cornered and smug, sought to fib, but Bill came armed with data, scans, and an outraged father's fury. You didn't just scam me, lady, he seethed. You made my son believe he was dying. You ripped out his soul and made him beg for a few more days with his family. His voice dropped to a whisper. You played God, and now you'll pay. Grace ran, of course. She always had a plan B, but she underestimated Bill's reach. Her medical license was suspended within 24 hours. Her clinic shuttered, her accounts frozen, and everywhere she looked, the media inundated with headlines like The Heart Doctor Who Faked Brain Surgery and Buckingham Betrayal, Bill Spencer's Revenge. Even Poppy and Luna, her family, abandoned her publicly, disgusted that she would gamble with life and death. Finn, appalled by Grace's betrayal and his own mother's secrets, drew a firm line. If you come near Liam or my hospital again, he told her coldly, I'll make sure you're arrested for attempted manslaughter. As the scandal broke, a damaged Liam began to heal, not only physically but emotionally. Hope, still embroiled in her engagement to Carter, found herself slipping back to Liam's side, protective and compassionate. Their friendship revived slowly with cautious conversations and late-night talks, both of them still nursing the scars caused by Grace's deceit. Steffi, meanwhile, wrestled with guilt, her marriage under pressure, her commitment to Finn unsettled, and her part in Liam's agony plaguing her. But in Italy, Ridge and Brooke were forging a new chapter. After everything, the betrayals, the back and forth, the losses, they were finally aligned. They spent their last days abroad in tranquil happiness, walking hand in hand through cobblestone streets, murmuring dreams of the future. The press, catching wind of Ridge's dramatic confession on the beach, printed headlines like Forrester reunited with Logan in Italy, and Taylor dumped for Brooke again. Back in L.A., Taylor removed her ring, quietly, alone. She didn't need a spectacular showdown. She'd seen the images, she'd read the stories, and she'd heard Ridge's voicemail left in a shaky voice. "I never meant to hurt you, but I can't marry you. I love Brooke." That was all. Simple. Devastating. As the storylines collided, Ridge and Brooke's reunion, Grace's unraveling, Bill's wrath, and Liam's tentative healing, the drama exploded with pace. Carter's misgivings about Hope deepened as he sensed her drifting away. Poppy was left adrift, struggling to rebuild Luna's trust. Steffi and Finn hit a breaking point. And Grace? She went underground, the once polished doctor now a fugitive chased by attorneys, reporters, and the man she misjudged most. But above it all, one reality rang clear. You can't fake fate. Ridge and Brooke, scarred and bruised by decades of drama, found each other once more, this time not out of habit or shame but love. Real, stubborn, irresistible love. And Taylor? She was left with the echo of a broken promise and a ring that never really meant forever. Let me know whether you'd like a part 2 where Taylor hits back, or Grace tries to blackmail Bill, or Nick plots retribution. Liam's fog lifts as Finn discovers a scratch under the bandage. Bold and the Beautiful keeps feeding Finn cues, so he doesn't fall into the lie that Liam Spencer's malignant tumor has been removed, overturning a death sentence on the CBS soap. Bold and the Beautiful. Finn questions Liam Spencer. Liam Spencer wakes up after his procedure to be taken home at the demand of Grace Buckingham on the Bold and the Beautiful. This is not the standard recuperation protocol for this type of risky surgery, and it alarms Finn. Nothing about this treatment and Liam's amazing recovery makes sense to the young doctor. So when he checks beneath Liam's bandage, he's swept away by what he sees. While he notices an incision on Liam's head, it is far less than he expected considering the brain surgery he allegedly had. So he asks Liam Spencer questions on what Dr. Grace Buckingham had stated to him concerning his surgery. Liam claims that she said nothing, merely that it was a success. As Finn questions Liam on Bold and Beautiful this week, Grace is outside the door listening to all this. It appears she detects the tone in Finn's voice, which expresses his reservations. B&B, Liam's fog has lifted. Grace Buckingham took control of Liam's diagnosis and treatment from the get-go on Bold and the Beautiful. She had her hands on everything, including the tablets she handed him to ingest. But as time went by, Liam grew dizzy and lightheaded, even falling. Everyone assumed these symptoms were part of the disease. But what Liam disclosed this week offers more proof that he may have never had a tumor. Liam informs Finn that he is feeling much as he did before he got the news. It sounds as if Grace was giving Liam medication to replicate the symptoms that one would expect as the tumor expanded. The cloud is gone for Liam Spencer, and he's feeling back to normal, with Finn's suspicion rising that there was never anything wrong with the Spencer son to begin with.